What is the hump on the Boeing 747 really for? From the moment it first rolled onto the runway, the Boeing 747 didn't just change aviation. It rewrote the rules of the sky. Its size was jaw-dropping, its range unmatched, and its silhouette unforgettable. But it's the mysterious hump on its head that still makes passengers lean over to ask, what on earth is that for? The Boeing 747 is not only capable of flying, but it also owns the sky. Its four engines make a resounding sound like a regal procession, its wings are bigger than many city streets, and its silhouette is instantly identifiable from a great distance away. It is the hump, which is that peculiar protrusion that is situated on the front of the fuselage, that attracts attention, provokes inquiries, and has been the subject of more in-flight disputes than the cost of the food that is served on airplanes. The question is, what exactly is going on up there? Is it just a peculiar option in terms of design? What about a lounge for the wealthy and famous? Or does it conceal something that is far more useful and thought-provoking? Be sure to fasten your seatbelts, for the truth about the 747's hump is a tale of competition, foresight, and the ingenious engineering that contributed to the jet's rise to fame. The arrival of a high-rise queen. One must travel back in time to the 1960s, which is considered to be the golden age of aviation, to comprehend the hump. The airline industry was flourishing. The world was getting smaller as a result of jets such as the Boeing 707, but airlines were eager to find something that was larger, quicker, and more cost-effective. Juan Trippe, the visionary president of Pan Am, approached Boeing in 1965 with a bold request: build me a plane that can carry 2.5 times more passengers than the 707 and cut the cost per seat by 30% more than it is now. When Boeing accepted the challenge, they did more than just accept it. They bet the entire corporation on it. The result would be the world's first wide-body aircraft, which would be able to carry up to 480 passengers, which is more than twice as many as other jets of the time could accommodate. People began referring to it as the jumbo jet when it was first introduced in 1969 because of its enormous size. However, behind the scenes, Boeing's engineers were confronted with a quandary that would determine the fate of the 747. If this aircraft is going to be the future, how do we make sure that it does not become obsolete the moment that supersonic jets arrive? The cargo gamble that led to the formation of the hump. The topic of supersonic travel was everyone's topic of conversation at the time. At the same time that Boeing was working on the enormous supersonic project known as the 2707, the Concorde was having its development continued. A great number of specialists thought that the subsonic 747 would merely serve as a stopgap until the future arrived at Mach 2. Therefore, Boeing designed the 747 with a backup plan in mind. It should be able to readily convert into a cargo freighter if passenger demand decreased in favor of speedier jets. The issue arises from the fact that cargo jets are required to load enormous containers directly into the fuselage rather than the other way around. The most effective method for accomplishing this is to use a nose door that can be opened by swinging. The cockpit, on the other hand, is located at the nose of the aircraft, which is exactly where that door would be supposed to be. What's the answer? Raise the cockpit so that it is high above the fuselage. Through the construction of a modest upper deck for the pilots, Boeing was able to free the nose for a massive cargo door that was hinged upward. This decision not only solved the difficulty of loading cargo, but it also resulted in the creation of the hump that has been the defining characteristic of the 747's profile ever since. It was the kind of flight that elevated the 747 to the level of an experience rather than merely a mode of transportation. However, glamour comes at a cost. During the oil crisis that occurred in 1973, the costs of operations increased, and it was determined that those lounges were not feasible. When it came to paying passengers, airlines required every square inch of room. A greater number of seats were installed in lieu of the bars, and throughout the course of time, the hump on later versions became longer in order to accommodate more passengers. The performer of the aerodynamic balancing act. While you might believe that adding a hump to the top of a jet would ruin its aerodynamics, you would be wrong. Even Boeing was of the same opinion at first. Earlier designs featured a more rounded hump, but studies conducted in wind tunnels revealed that it generated an excessive amount of drag. The engineers worked to develop it into a teardrop shape that was sleek and extended. This not only reduced the amount of turbulence, but also improved the flow of air around the tail section. What comes out of it? Despite its size and unusual shape, the 747 was capable of cruising at Mach 0.85. Indeed, the elevated cockpit increased both weight and complexity, and the evacuation of passengers from the upper deck necessitated the use of specialized slides and rigorous training. On the other hand, the benefits, which included both practical and commercial aspects, significantly surpassed the disadvantages when cargo carried the crown. For freight variants of the 747, the hump was kept short, with just enough room to accommodate the cockpit. This was done because the area behind the hump was not required for passenger seating. The main deck was able to maintain its maximum cargo volume as a result. In addition, the 747 has been shown to be unbeatable in this capacity. This airplane has been the go-to choice for transporting big products, humanitarian aid, and even spaceship components because of its enormous nose door and spacious internal area on passenger routes, in favor of more modern and fuel-efficient twin-engine jets, such as the Boeing 777 and the 787 Dreamliner. They were able to transport almost the same number of people while incurring significantly cheaper fuel expenditures. However, despite the fact that the Queen of the Skies is withdrawing from commercial service, her hump continues to be a symbol of a daring age in aviation. This was a time when engineers were willing to take chances, airlines were willing to sell dreams, and the world was given a plane that was so famous that children could recognize it from a drawing. Approach in concluding. What exactly is the purpose of the hump that is found on the Boeing 747? This is not merely an eccentric choice of fashion, the product of strategic thinking, cargo flexibility, and a touch of glamour from the 1970s. It is the product of cargo flexibility. It is because of this that the 747 was able to expand its nose like a gigantic maw and swallow full transport containers. Because of this, guests used to be able to have martinis in a lounge that was located above the clouds. Furthermore, and probably most crucially, it is the reason why this aircraft has been able to adjust to the shifting winds of aviation for more than half a century. There is more to the hump than just a decorative element. It is a crown, and for more than half a century, the Boeing 747 wore it as if it were the perfect embodiment of the Queen of the Skies. If you love uncovering the secrets of legendary aircraft, hit that like button, subscribe for more aviation deep dives, and tell us in the comments, what's your favorite plane of all time?